So we're going to get into elite intake now. We've got Cerissa Stevens. She's the marketing director at SteingerGreene&Feiner and Esquire Law in Florida. She's built a career based on scaling teams, optimizing intake systems, and connecting creative strategy to real revenue. Cerissa has spent a lot of time turning marketing efforts into signed cases, not just leads. What makes her perspective unique is her focus on what happens after the lead comes in, which is what we're going to be talking about today. From conversion strategy to operational alignment, she helps bridge the gap between marketing, intake, and business growth. So, Cerissa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Hugo. Thank you so much for having me. This is such an exciting summit, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. And I'm not going to bury the lead. Happy birthday. Someone told me behind the scenes it's birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you. You'll notice flowers around my office. Yes, today is my birthday. Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
Yeah, thanks for carving out, a few minutes out of your day for us on your birthday. So, one of the things that we love about your firm is how seriously you guys take intake and how seriously you take leads and how much of a collaboration you understand there is between intake, law firm operations, and marketing, and how these things don't operate in a vacuum. Just high level, how long did it take you to develop that skill set at this law firm or potentially even at other law firms before that?
Before we continue, a quick note and the only break you'll hear in today's episode. Most attorneys know they should be reaching Hispanic clients, but very few do it well. That's where we come in. At Abogados Now, we build authentic Spanish language campaigns that actually get you more cases and grow your practice. So if you're looking for a new way to get more clients, book a call with our team today at abogadosnow.com. Now, let's get back to the episode.
I've been with the firm for 11 years, and every year we learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Every year you see different challenges with a new set of, a new group of people. But I was brought onto the firm with the understanding that intake affects marketing directly. I worked at a firm before that we had our own call center, and every piece of marketing that we did was sent straight to our own call center. So I came with the knowledge that one cannot operate without the other properly. But it is interesting because most of the time, I would say marketing directors don't have as a great relationship as I do with our intake team. Our intake team, our intake director, and myself, I always say it's like a Venn diagram. Marketing works to bring in the cases, intake works to close the cases, but we have to work operationally together. We constantly collaborate.
Got it. So in our last conversation about elite intake strategies, which we're going to go into a few different segments here, you mentioned that year over year, you guys improved intake conversion by 10%.
Yes.
That's dramatic. That's big. 10% of any improvement in any part of your business is fantastic, but in intake, that's elite stuff here. So why don't we get into this first segment here, which is bridging the gap between marketing and intake. So talk to us about how you got to that 10% lift last year with this concept of bridging the gap.
So bridging the gap, I always say every single percent makes a difference. And when we're talking about lead costs, increasing in every single market and just costs in general rising, 1% can mean the difference between $1 million at the end of the year or not. 1% every month, 1% every quarter, 1% every year. Every single percent matters. So we measure our intake closing rates constantly. We have dashboards throughout our intake department that give us live feed updates. We look weekly. We work directly with our teams to make sure that every single lead that comes in is being answered very quickly, within 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the max possible amount of time. And then actually saying the right things to get clients to sign. And fully understanding that there is a whole cycle here. If you are calling your intakes back, if you have an incoming call, you're obviously answering them. You're not missing calls. They're not ringing for an exorbitant amount of time. If you have a web lead come in, answering them within 10 minutes. We've done a very good job of automation, revamping our system so that we are more automated than we ever have been. And our calls are answered pretty much instantly. And then our callbacks are made within seconds or minutes at the very most. Yeah. We keep close tabulations on that, because if our intake team needs to grow, we'll know because calls are rolling over to our call center, or we have a long ring rate, something like that. But every single one of those metrics matters. But finding the best way to build automations so that it's less human error and more automations, then it takes away moments. Every moment matters. Every moment is the difference between somebody picking up your call or picking up a competitor's call, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you bring that up. I think speed to contact, right, is like the biggest factor in the success of intake. And we talked to a lot of law firms who are struggling to find out how to call an inbound lead immediately. And it sounds like you guys have removed all the human error out of it. You've automated it. You've essentially forced the interaction to happen through dialing.
Yes.
And you guys have like quite a large intake staff. So it's almost like you had to do it, right? Because you couldn't scale that trust with, entry-level work. Let's call it what it is, right? It's difficult entry-level work. And so
it's entry-level work, but it takes a skill set to sell the service over someone else's. I mean,
right.
there's huge firms out there that their whole marketing shtick is they're the biggest. We know who they are. And then there's other firms out there who they are, the most well-established. And every firm has their own unique identifier. And we have decided that we are always going to be the most automated, the most cutting edge on technology. So we invested a lot of money this year in taking out the human error and finding ways to automate it. And there's a million systems that, we can suggest to use. We found that simple systems that we have the ability to build integrations for has worked for our team. We fully function in-house now. So not only do we have a big and continued growing intake department, but we've invested a lot of money to bring those resources in-house so that we can control them. And, things change every single day. There's always something that a partner might think is a good idea, or an intake director might think is a really good idea. And bridging those gaps between technology, humans, and marketing and intake is really what we focused on this year. And it has made a marked improvement on just the ability to be faster than anyone else.
Got it. And do you find that because you guys are omnichannel, you have television, radio, print, billboard, digital, multiple languages, multiple brands, is your intake staff trained to handle different calls sources differently through different scripting? And does the tech help with that? Can you speak about that?
Yes. So the tech helps because, let's say, for example, it's just an incoming call from TV, and it's our SteingerGreene&Feiner brand. There is a whisper that comes in their ear and says, you're about to answer a call for SteingerGreene&Feiner from a telephone, source. And so the intake agent is already prepared to answer that call. And then if there's an intake that's already existing in our system, it pops the intake up. And if not, it creates the prompts automatically for the intake agent to go ahead and start this new intake. There's nothing that's found based on caller ID that would link this call to an existing file or an existing intake. So those little time-saving devices has not only sped our intake agents up, but also helped us to just continue to move on to the next call. And I think, the training that it takes to answer a telephone call is different than a web lead comes in and then we're about to make an outbound call. So again, a whisper comes into the intake agent's ear, it dials them, and it says, you're about to make an outbound call based on somebody who landed on your PBC auto accident webpage. I heard your questions earlier. Yes, landing pages are important because then each source can be tracked. So we know exactly this person filled out a web form for an auto accident in Nashville, and the whisper will tell them that. So the person is prepared, or the person filled out a web form and it's in Spanish. Go ahead and speak to them in Spanish from the get-go. Give them the reading right away in Spanish. Make them feel like you understand them and you're already building a rapport. Outbound calls are different than an inbound call, but the intake agent still gets them automatically and is forced to answer them essentially, and then knows how to speak to it right away. And then different sources matter too. If it's PBC, it's going to be different than radio. I mean, they already know our brand. And they're going to ask for, they're looking for somebody at SteingerGreene&Feiner. Or if it's more of like an affiliate marketing kind of thing, then they may not really know us yet. So then it's our job to build rapport even more. If we've been in the market for 30 years in South Florida, they're going to know us. But in one of our newer markets, and it's affiliate marketing, a paid lead kind of thing, they don't know us from the next person. They just know that we called faster than they did.
Yeah. That's so. Have you found that the tech has also made it easier to retain intake staff because it's easier to train, and to some extent the job is a little easier than just like managing, a CRM with a bunch of contacts and having your own methodology behind that?
Yeah, our entire team from intake to attorneys are so spoiled, and I mean that in the most endearing way. We have provided the ability to them to just do their job well. And we've handed them these pieces of technology that help them along the way, and they don't have to get stuck on something so fumbly. So yes, I think that sets us apart. It helps us with our recruiting, and it does make intake's life better here than it would probably at the next person's job. But let's be really honest, it's not an easy job to do intake. You're talking to people on the phone who have been through incredibly difficult situations. So the training from the software is one thing, and it helps them get the sale. It doesn't, they're not fumbling through software as much anymore like they used to here, also. But they still have to have empathy and build rapport with the person on the other end of the phone.
I want to be mindful of not like having you give away too much secret sauce, because I know that there's a lot of nuance to just installing tech and getting people on board with tech. So I am curious on the concept on the topic of follow-ups, which is topic number 2.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how many times do you call a new lead in, let's say, the first 2 days?
10.
Okay.
8 maybe, but
yeah.
10, between 8 and 10. There's different ways to contact. I would say 10. We call them multiple times. We follow up with a text message multiple times, and we also send an email. We also do drop voicemails. We do a few things to help automate the intake team. So again, they aren't manually sending text, they aren't manually sending emails anymore, but they are getting, the intakes agents are contacting the potential new clients, and these potential new clients are getting called multiple times a day. And to us, it's made a huge difference. 10%. If you think 3 times altogether is enough, it's just not. You're not getting those leads that, just for example, I get spam calls all day long, and I don't answer them because I'm at work or I'm driving or I'm picking up my kids. And every single person is just like me. They are busy and they have to deal with this situation. They're trying to contact a lawyer. They really don't know what to do. You may call a person 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before they even realize you're calling them, and it's the same number over and over again, or it's not the same number over and over again. You're trying different ways. 10 times within the first day is not out of this world by any means for us.
I'm so glad you said that, because we've been evangelizing this for years, and we couldn't agree more. There's kind of like this like fear, I think, amongst law firms and marketers that we're going to annoy the prospect, but the prospect is asking for help and they need to connect to someone who has the answers, right? How do you speak to that?
I also, on the flip end, I'll speak to that, but I want to say, yes, these people are reaching, they've already gone over the hump to fill out a form or dial a phone number. So they are in need of help. They don't know what to do. They're probably in distress. So they really do need help. So they do want to talk to somebody, but it's overwhelming. They're in an overwhelming situation. So you can say things a certain way, of course, to try to make somebody at ease. But I also will say, with more contacts, we have found that we don't have a list of hundreds of chasing every single day. Our chasing list has decreased incredibly because we're getting people on the phone, and whether they just say, listen, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Mm-hmm. At the very least, at least we know.
Right. And I think it's important to get that closure. Otherwise, you have all these potential leads without any real decision. We have a question here from Mary Castillo. I just would love for you to answer this one, Cerissa. She says, we're a firm that has grown. So this is the first year we have a marketing department. But quite honestly, we have done marketing, but have not measured if what we have done works. How can we reset and start measuring results?
Great question. At the very least, you should have contact phone numbers for marketing. You should know what numbers people are dialing to get in touch with you. And if that's not even feasible right now, you should always be asking, how do people hear about you? We measure both. We measure which form did they fill out, which phone number did they call, and our intake agents ask, how did you hear about us? And they're always, it's interesting to measure both because we have been in the market, South Florida market for so long. People, sometimes they say, I see your billboards all the time, but then they dial Google My Business phone number. Any single, I'm going to say this as a blanket statement, any phone number that somebody is calling you to reach an intake department should have a trackable phone number on it. And there are really, really cheap solutions to do this. You don't have to pay by the minute for a lot of, the most modern technology that even we use. You pay for phone numbers and then you pay kind of like a base rate. You have to do that. That's not a negotiation right there. If a potential new lead is dialing a phone number to get to you, they should not be the office phone number. It shouldn't be the number that's on business cards. Even if it's still just going to your receptionist and you don't have an intake department, setting up marketing tracking phone numbers is so simple and affordable.
Yeah, there's CallRail, call tracking metrics. Those are just two of really big names that charge a couple dollars a month for a phone number. Yeah. So you can put a phone number on your website, on your social media handles, on your TikTok, on your newsletter, and then just label them accordingly.
Different phone numbers for each one.
Right. And label them.
You just to where you want it to be answered.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's a great step one. And then you can get more nuance with click IDs and UTMs and all that nerdy stuff. But yeah, I think that's great feedback, sir. So thank you. We have another one here. Oh boy. Our intake team is in shambles.
Oh no.
It's impossible to find in-house support. Do you suggest a third-party intake company? We use I'm not going to say the company name. We use another company and they're terrible. I don't want to, disparage any company. So it looks like, great question. What do you think, Cerissa?
If your internal intake is in shambles and you don't have another solution, then you have no choice but to go third party. I would suggest finding a different intake, a different third party intake than what you have. It's not working for you. And heard girl, whoever that was, because same. But there's a lot of really good intake third party people out there. And honestly, sometimes it just takes time to cycle through them. And that's hard to hear, but we've been through a few. We've tried the one you said. And also, sometimes people, they go to PE firms, their stuff kind of falls apart as well. But third-party intake departments aren't really that bad. Just know that they're not going to care as much about your intakes as you do. And the next step after doing that would be get a few people in-house that even if they just only work 9 to 5, and then your rollover goes to a third party. That's also a really great solution. Then you at least know you have a few dedicated in-house people that are going to answer your phones and care as much about those cases as you guys do. And then third party at least answers after hours or the weekends. Or you could even set it up so like your call tracking metrics would roll over to them after a certain number of rings. That's possible too.
Yeah, and I also think like ask one of your peers for the third party system that they're using. So let's say you're doing, $50,000 in annual marketing spend. Talk to someone else who's doing 50 to 100. You're getting the same amount of phone calls per day, week, month, and then just ask them, what is the service you're using? Get a referral. You might even get a discount as a result of that connection. There's so many ways to get third party. I like third party quite a bit if you find the right fit, but you also have to make it great. It is a two-way street. Cerissa is a great example of that. The marketing doesn't operate in a vacuum. It needs a great system. There needs to be a collaboration between these roles. We have a question from
Alfredo Lozano. Is like, I think that you can't say it enough. You mentioned it, Hugo. Training and feedback is crucial, and you have to have somebody who's dedicated to giving the feedback constantly, because people are going to need new training. They're going to have training opportunities, what we like to call them, and you can't be afraid to say, hey, that didn't work, you should have signed that, why did you send it over 5 minutes late, and catch those issues. But if it's a good, I agree, I don't think third party's bad. I just think it takes a concerted effort, just like anyone in-house would take. Yeah,
totally. And we'll answer this last one because we still have a third segment to go into. We have about 10 minutes left with Cerissa. So Alfredo asks, is the number of follow-ups the same number for other practice areas like immigration? Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah. Just context is the person wants help right now. You're going to have to contact them until you have a yes or no from them.
And you also can't forget, a lot of people have their phones set now, all these modern technology, a lot of people have their phone set to where if it's an unknown number, it just goes straight to voicemail.
Right.
So you have to contact them in multiple different ways. You can't just call one time, not leave a voicemail, or just call 2 or 3 times. Sometimes it literally doesn't ring on their phone. It's just their own setting. So once they see, oh, I had a voicemail. Oh, this person also followed up with a text. Oh, now I have an email and I know who to call back. You have to contact them multiple times from multiple different avenues so that people see it. We are busy humans. We are working. We have families. We are busy, obviously. We have things going on that we need a lawyer for. So you need to get their attention multiple times before they actually respond.
Totally. So in this last segment here, it sounds like staffing is the most critical part of your intake operations. So again, taking 10% year over year improvements from intake to signed cases is remarkable. And I would love for you to expand on staffing and training a sales-oriented intake team.
I love saying sales-oriented because most law firms don't want to hear that. The problem is it's a sales job. They have to be empathetic. They have to listen to people's needs, and they have to give them a solution. That's a sales job. These people are motivated by closing rates, and we monitor closing rates very closely. And if you have a better closing rate, you have a better outcome to take home. And that's important because that's how people are motivated. However, our criteria for a wanted case doesn't change. Are they injured? Are they not at fault? Was it within the last whatever your days of criteria are? And that's it. If you can have the person feel comfortable enough to sign a contract on the phone, you did a good service for the firm, and you're going to be, rewarded for it. And we don't like to think of it any differently, because if people don't care, they're not going to care. They're not going to care. And again, this, like you said earlier, this is an entry-level job, but the people that we have worked here for many years. We have a few people that have been here 6-7 years just in intake, answering calls, because they are really good at it, and they aren't just salespeople. They can be closers. And we also have like a stacked rank of our actual intake department team. So, the really good closers are the escalation team. If you're new and you can't close a case, you can't actually get the person to sign the contract, you're overcoming objections, or you're not very good at overcoming objections yet, you can send it over to them and they'll sign it. And it's a team effort in that way, but people are individually held accountable for their closing rates. And we judge closing rates by wanted over signed. I think that's pretty universal from most of the firms that I talk to. We judge a case on whether it's wanted based on the certain criteria we set. And then, did you or did you not sign it? Are you above 80%? It's pretty good. Are you above 85? That's really good. Are you above 90? Okay, like that means you're closing 9 out of 10 of the calls that are coming in. Are you above 90? Wow, that's incredible. And that change and that shift is what we saw this year through automation, through better training automation, which is funny to say also. Our team is judged based on a quality score. Every single lead, did they say the things they were supposed to say? Did they escalate it to an escalation team if they couldn't? Did they attempt to overcome objections? Were they empathetic? These are all things that we give an actual judgment to. And then that feedback is shared with the team leads and the actual team members weekly, and especially monthly.
I love that. Yeah. So it's like, to recap, it sounds like you have to have intake people who are incentivized and treat this job like a sales job, because it is. And even though many attorneys don't want to admit it, it is a sales job. It's marketing. It's the next layer of your advertising investment. It's the next touch point that seals the deal from wanted to sign. I love that. It's like a marketing qualified lead metric. It's very dialed in, right? And so are you trying to achieve that 80% plus with everyone that's matured in intake?
We're at the 90% and above mark now.
And that's the baseline for sticking around as an intake agent?
I think between 80 and 90, if you're between 80 and 90, you're on a PIP.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. For those not familiar, PIP is performance improvement plan, which, you may as well be looking for another job at that point. Yeah. Wow. But
we take training very seriously. So we know good people don't just come in the doors every single day. So if you're at the 80% mark, listen, we don't just want to, get you out the door, but we make a concerted effort to train you. And if after, the allotted amount of time on a PIP, if you're not improving, we base our judgments on a 3-month rolling basis, because listen, somebody might have a bad month. They might go on vacation. They don't take as many calls. So then it can mess with your conversion rates. So we do roll on a 3-month. I think that helps not deter intake agents to just be like, well, I'm not making it this month, so like whatever, I'm not answering calls anymore, I don't care. So 3-month rolling judgment is how we do it. And yeah, we if you're at 80, you're at the bare bones minimum of like what would be acceptable.
Wow, that's a great baseline. I love that. So Cerissa, thank you so much. To recap, tech is so vital. There's no prescription for it. It's whatever works for your intake team. There's third party as an option. Follow-ups, don't be afraid of them. Like, call aggressively, email, text. If you have the consent, which all of your marketing should have the consent, TCPA rules, you have the right to call, email, text, snail mail, whatever it is that you need to do to get them to respond, and have a team that is incentivized like a sales team. I think this is clearly why you guys are in that elite status with intake. We always think it's kind of the standard that PI law firms, at least with your budgets, should be modeling after. So thank you so much, Cerissa. And we do have some Q&A, and we'll kind of do a rapid fire here. Cerissa, do you want to stick around for some Q&A?
Yeah, if it's for intake, I'm happy to. Intake and marketing, yeah, if we have time. Thanks.
Totally, yeah. Let's do it. So we have Natasha Farmers asking, do you find success with AI chatbots?
Yes, if it's your only solution. Actually, let me say it like this. Yes, if it's your only solution, but it has to be trained properly, and you really have to review the things that happen. We've seen some issues with AI chatbots because of how our integrations are, where it'll chat as if it's an attorney, and that can't happen. An AI chatbot can't give legal advice. So yes, AI chatbots are extremely important, but it's also important to make sure you're reviewing them. If you have some sort of notification system to say, hey, this chat just came in, and then you can kind of take it over.
Yeah. Also, there's like, the laws are still fuzzy with how to disclose AI chat. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's like unproven grounds there too.
To answer the question, we have used it. We do use it, but every time we use it, we do make a concerted effort to measure it.
Yeah, great. And Pooja Mehta says, in meta lead generation, we collect the filled up lead forms. What is the best time frame to reach them back?
The minute they come in.
Yesterday. That one's 10 times, 2 days. Alex Cha asks, do you give commissions to your sales team for every signed case?
No, that's not how every commission structure is different, but that's not how ours is.
Another one says, we have one vanity number. Oh, this is a super common question, right? Do we need multiple to be able to track sources?
Okay, this is difficult. We have a phone number, vanity number also that we've had for 30 years. It's a repeater, 1111. Other than TV, yes, every single thing has to have its own tracking source. If it's a website, it better have its own tracking source. And most of the website phone numbers can flip based on, let's say they come through Facebook or they come through a landing page and they click through to your homepage. The numbers can be dynamic, so you'll know where it comes from. Yes, every single source should have its own phone number. You should not use your vanity phone number on your Google My Business.
Totally. Alfredo asks, how do you handle leads from referral partners?
Referral partners like other attorneys or like a client referral?
Yeah, it sounds like it could be either or. It sounds like a scripting question.
Okay. So leads from I'm guessing just like anyone who's referring a case to the firm in general, like saying, hey, my friend got in a car accident or whatever. We don't treat them any differently. Mm-hmm. We do have our A team making sure that they're the first on the line to call them first. But we treat them better, if anything. I mean, they're a friend or somebody we know is referring them. So yeah, we try to treat them as best we can. I don't think they're any different though. We still call them 24 hours a day. If a lead is coming in, then we pop a call right away. And if, we don't avoid call times necessarily.
Yeah, it's great. We have, what are your thoughts on using a vanity phone number with letters such as 212 Justice? Do you think this could improve brand recall and positioning, or does it feel outdated? In today's digital first landscape, do you see value in this? It's a great question.
If you don't already have one like Justice, I would say don't purchase Justice because sometimes that's hard to spell. People aren't great at spelling. And also I'm not necessarily looking at the letters on my keypad. I do think if you're running commercials on TV, commercials on YouTube, OTT, radio, repeaters, or something like that is valuable. And it's old school. It's an old school way of thinking, but honestly, we've tried not, we've tried not. And trying it with works better for us. We have a jingle and it's a repeating jingle. It does work for us. So I think they do have a value. But the spelled out ones, unless if it's just like really simple, like LAW, sometimes people have a hard time spelling the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's a friction point. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. Like Rosalina's going to talk about this later today, but he said if you're not willing to be in the top 3 of TV advertisers, don't advertise on TV. So let alone don't even buy a vanity number. So there's other ways to do it to find scale.
Don't put your vanity number on your website. Again, your vanity number, your repeater number should not be the number on your Google My Business. People just click that number and they don't even care what number it is.
We have one more question here. We have a few more, so we'll try to rapid fire these. Do you use call menus to qualify leads, like IVRs?
We have. It didn't suit us best, but it helped with volume. So I say this with a caveat. It didn't necessarily hurt us incredibly, but we did have a lot of dropped calls that we had to then call back. It's not the worst thing in the world, because if you're getting a volume and at least you're trying to weed out, I guess depends on like, are you a new call? Should you go to reception or should you go to intake? Yeah, those big volume phone lines, like you might need to do it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think that this is a conflicting thought process in a lot of marketing people's minds. If I had any choice, I would say no, don't use it. If that person has gotten in a car accident or their loved one is injured, you want to talk to them right away. Don't use it as your automatic default. Use it as your fallback solution.
I agree. I feel like, don't you feel like in the more AI things become, more people want more human novelty?
Yeah. And there's automations that we've put into play where if they're not a first-time caller and they have a case within the system, it automatically goes straight to the lawyer. So that can cut down on like your reception and your intake. If it's like a adjuster or something, you can program those like repeated calls, like from Geico or whatever, into the system straight to reception. So some of those automations really help to cut down on the junk calls that you get from intake to intake.
This next one we'll answer directly via email, but it says, if I get a lead from Meta form fill, do you know how to get an alert when you get them? That's a pretty long, we have a few different ways to do that. We'll just email you the ways that we do it with our clients. That's super simple. But just a preview, use Zapier. There's services that auto notify to your email when leads come in. CRM natively do this. There's tons of cool ways to get automated alerts. Next question, do you have any closing/sales tactics in your intake script that help your firm get retainers? Any word usage or strategies? That's a good question.
Word usage. If you're every objection we've found a solution for. If it's I need to talk to my husband, I have to talk to my wife, I'm on my way to go pick up my kids, all of those objections, we can overcome them, or you can build a script to overcome them. I think the biggest thing is asking the most pertinent questions to qualify the case first. Are you injured? Are you at fault? When did it happen? Not necessarily in that order. And then, okay, they're qualified. Okay, sounds like this might be a case that we can help you with. Let's have the attorney look into it. What's your name? What's your phone number? What's your email? Okay, I'm going to send you a contract right now to your phone. What's your phone number? What's your best cell phone number? And then you just send the contract automatically from the system. That has been a game changer for us because people often, they get the DocuSign and then they just sign. That will make the difference. You know, the speed to which you can get somebody contracted is the difference maker. You're not going to call them back. You're not going to schedule a call. You're not going to schedule a time to go meet them. You're going to get that contract in their hands before anything. And then they're going to sign it while you are on the phone and it's going to come back to your system and it's going to see as a signed contract. And then you move it straight along to file opening and get it to an attorney. Speed more than anything is what makes the difference.
Love that. We'll end with this final question. It's got 5 votes. So I'll give a preview answer, and then Cerissa, you don't have to answer this. I understand like the sensitivity around this, but what intake system, phone systems are they using with Whispers for outbound and inbound calls? I mean, there are so many. There's Five9, Ring Central, Dialpad, Avaya, Nextiva. We'll send us an email. We'll send you the ones that we know our clients are using for call center tech. There are many, and again, there's no prescription for it. It's what's best for your size, your budget, your goals. They're all great depending on what you need them for. Cerissa, what can you share?
I can share that the system that we're using for both intake and marketing is a call system. We use a Salesforce-based CRM that integrates through Zapier to pretty much everything that we do. And the system that we use for phone calls is the same that we use for marketing tracking. And honestly, we implemented it 11 years ago when I came on.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And now it's grown so much that they do texting, they do dial backs, they do pretty much everything. It's really a robust system, and it just depends on do you have somebody in-house to help you develop it? That is the difference maker. We have a few people in-house that have helped us develop our software, our Salesforce, and our other systems and make the integrations. And if you have somebody who can do that, you can honestly rule the world.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's so true. The support, right? It's like, it's what makes or breaks it.
Yeah. And the native software supports are generally not on your side. They're trying to be profitable. So, but there's some really great systems out there that are, they can be as basic as you need them, or they can be as robust as our intake team. So, if we want to share a few of them, I'm happy to do that offline.
Yeah, shoot us an email. We'll share the names that we know have these features: texting, dialers, whisper. Those are pretty standard amongst all call center technology. So it's how you make them more custom is when things get a little more sophisticated and require a little more support.
Yeah, that's actually 100% true. You can go with a call rail and a Ring Central, and they could be really great, or they could be just a out of the box thing that doesn't necessarily function the way you thought it was going to.
Totally. Cerissa, thank you so much. I know we went way over time. Happy birthday. Thanks for spending an hour with us. You were a fantastic guest, and I think the takeaways here were super meaningful. So we have our next segment. It's on AI videos to help convert more traffic, moderated by Erica Serrato and presented by Jimena Partida, she's our head of social media. So thanks again, Cerissa. For everyone else, please stick around. A summit at abogadosnow.com. If you have any other questions, if you want a copy of the book, we're probably going to sell out of these, which is pretty great. It sounds like we're getting a lot of requests there. And we'll be back in a few minutes. So stand by.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Cerissa.